Hello, guys and gals, and welcome to Legendary Champions. Today we're taking a look at another Marvel Champions hero from the core set, and that is the Amazing Spider Man. So let's go ahead and jump in. And we have Peter Parker on his alter ego side here. He's got 3 recovery, and his ability is Scientist, Resource, generate a mental resource, limit once per round. He has a hand size of 6 and 10 hit points. Alright, so let's start at the bottom. We have the standard alter ego hand size of 6 and 10 hit points. 10 hit points is definitely low. Iron Man has the lowest printed with the 9 in the core set, but of course he can easily bump his up over the game. So the 10 hit points is pretty low. He does have a lot of ways of kind of getting around attack, so he has some ways to protect himself. The 3 recovery is definitely low, but that goes with his low hit point value. The ability is excellent for the hero. That extra resource, an extra card would probably be better, but an extra resource is always useful, always helps you to pay for stuff. So flip over, and we have the hero side, Spider-Man. And we have some decent stats here. We got 1 thwart, 2 attack, and 3 defense. 3 defense obviously looks really nice on the card. And then we have his ability, Spider Sense, Interrupt. When the villain initiates an attack against you, draw 1 card. Very nice. And the hand size is 5 and hit points 10. So hand size standard at 5 on the hero side. We see his stats are, again, I think anytime you have the stats add up to 5, 6, that's always going to be pretty good. But thwart being at 1 is always going to be a struggle for the hero, unless they just have a lot of thwart in their cards. Not always having access to a good amount of thwart can definitely hurt. I definitely like his ability. When the villain initiates an attack against you, you automatically get an extra card. You can definitely get some cool stuff drawn and possibly use that during the course of the game. So we'll take him and set him up here. And let's take a look at his next card. We have Spider-Man's ally is Black Cat, Felicia Hardy. She is 2 costs ally. She has 1 thwart and 1 attack with 2 hit points. And her ability, Forced Response. After you play Black Cat, discard the top 2 cards of your deck. Add each card with a printed mental resource discarded this way to your hand. Now, the biggest thing about Black Cat, I'm going to point out, is the 1 attack. However, the 1 attack is okay, but it's got no consequential damage on it. And to my knowledge, Black Cat's the only ally so far that has one of her stats without consequential damage. So that is huge. That's obviously the best part about her card. Her ability is okay. It possibly gives you a couple of cards to draw into, but not particularly good. Like, you can't really count on it, so it's not super reliable. The 2 points is definitely low, but the 2 resource is really decent for an ally. So dropping her out there really easy, and the fact that she could stick around for most of the game, if not all the game, then that's just awesome to have that extra attack. It almost makes it like Spider-Man has 3 attack and 3 defense. So that's great ally to have. Alright, next we have 2 copies of Backflip. This is a 0 cost event. Interrupt defense. When you would take any amount of damage from an attack, prevent all of that damage. Great card. It's so thematic for the character, just using his agility to get out of the way of a big attack. And it's really cool that you can combo this with his hero ability and possibly draw into this card uh, right when you need it and avoid a big attack as well. The 0 cost is excellent. You don't have to worry about paying for it. You just use it when you need it, and you can block especially those really big attacks in a pinch. So we've got 2 copies of those. I would have liked to see 3, but he's just got so much in his kit already. I can see why they wanted to maybe limit that a little bit. So then we have Enhanced Spider Sense. This is a 1-cost event. Hero Interrupt. When a Treachery card is revealed from the encounter deck, cancel its when revealed effects. So we see kind of the other side to the backflip. Another way for him to use his abilities to get out of danger, which is very thematic for the character. This way he's specifically blocking Treachery cards other than a direct attack. So we have 2 copies of Enhanced Spider Sense. All right, next we have probably my favorite card in a set. This is Swinging Web Kick. It's a 3-cost event. Pretty simple. Hero action, attack, deal 8 damage to an enemy. This has got to be the most economical damage, definitely in the core set, but I think in the game so far. There's, I think, several other cards that you can pay 3 to deal 8 damage, but every one of them, to my knowledge, has some sort of caveat that you have to deal with, or some sort of, you have to pay an extra resource, or you have to do this during a certain time. The fact that he's got this 3 cost, just bam, 8 damage is just awesome. And he's got 3 copies of it, so you're going to see it a lot, and it's just high direct damage. You can also do it immediately from the get-go, right? As soon as you start the game, you start with one of these. You can just pound on the villain right away, which is a lot of fun. All right. Next we have 1-cost support, Aunt May. Alter Ego action, exhaust Aunt May, heal 4 damage from Peter Parker. So thematic, love this card. The fact that it's Alter Ego action may limit it just a little bit, but honestly, you have to flip to your Alter Ego side to recover anyway. So being able to flip back and not having to exhaust Peter or Spider-Man, so that you can, either exhaust again so that you can double that, or flip back and still be able to use another ability, attack, defense, or whatnot. So excellent card. Every time you flip to Alter Ego, you should be using this. And the 1 cost, nice, cheap. All right, then we have 1-cost upgrade Spider Tracer. We have 2 copies of that in here. And it says attached to a minion. Force interrupt. When attached minion is defeated, remove 3 threat from a scheme. This is very cheap, so that's definitely the plus side, and it gets you a way to get some threat in there. It's also pretty thematic. I like getting it out there, and almost like a trap card. It kind of stays there and gives you that extra bonus. But it is very situational, and it's not, I would, like to see a little more easy threat control in the set, but it is a very fun card to play. It's a little bit hard to get going, but definitely fun when you get to use it. Next we have Web Shooter, 2 copies of that. It's a 1-cost upgrade, and it uses 3 web counters. Enters play with 3 web counters. When those are gone, discard the card. Hero resource, exhaust Web Shooter and remove 1 web counter from it. Generate a wild resource. So this is obviously very thematic as well. The one cost is nice. Getting it out there, having two of them is good, right? That's thematic, one for each hand. Now, this is kind of the first one that we see that's similar to like Super Soldier Serum for Captain America, or I think it's God of Thunder for Thor. Sort of this extra resource generator for the hero that you get to put out there. What's different about Spider-Man's is that it goes away. It is cheaper, which is nice, so that works out. But it's also very thematic, right? That's what I love about this game is it's just so thematic. So the fact that Peter's gonna run out of his web shooters, yeah, that makes sense. So it would only stick around for so long. But the wild resource is definitely nice, and the three counters means that you're getting three of those for one, which there are those basic cards that will give you three resources stocked up for two costs. So this is definitely more economic than those. So 2 copies of that. And finally, we have another favorite of mine, Webbed Up. It's a 4-cost upgrade. It can be used in hero form only. Attached to an enemy, max 1 per enemy. And forced interrupt, when attached enemy would attack, discard Webbed Up instead, then stun that enemy. So basically what you're getting out of Webbed Up, 2 copies here, is you're getting 2 stuns. The rules prevent you from having more than one stun on an opponent. Or any of them, like having the same one, multiples of any of the same status cards. So effectively what this is doing is it's breaking the rules for you and allowing you to stun an enemy twice. This is an incredibly thematic card. It's one of the most fun to play. It does have the downside of costing 4, so it's difficult to get out there. But it's just so much fun to play, to throw this on Rhino and just watch him sit there and do nothing for a couple of turns. It's a lot of fun. So very fun thematic card. All right, that's Webbed Up. Okay, and that's Spider-Man. Spider-Man, excellent hero, a lot of fun to play. This is my wife's favorite. She loves just jumping in and not having to worry about building stuff up. And swinging web kick is a lot of fun to smash enemies with. His strengths. What's not his strength, right? Spider-Man is he can pretty much do everything, right? He's got great damage. He's got ways to control the villain. He's got good healing. He can, take care of himself with backflip and enhanced spider sense. He's just all around. He's got so many cool, fun cards, just thematic things that he can do. So definitely, one of the best designed heroes in the game. If he does have a weakness, I think it's definitely threat control. That's why they pair him with the justice aspect right out of the box, right? Because you easily get some extra threat control in there. Really, the only threat control he has is the one thwart on his card, which is, again, just not that great. And the Spider Tracer, which is which is just too situational, right? You just can't count on that to be used very quickly. So that's definitely a weakness of his, but it's easy enough to get around. And not only does he pair well with Justice for the threat control aspect, but just kind of thematically, so far a lot of those have been like the allies in that are street level heroes. So you see Daredevil, Jessica Jones, so it's just kind of fun to see him paired with people you normally see him with in the comics. Most valuable card for this set. It's a tough choice. I love Webbed Up. It's so fun to play, but it's just so expensive. That's the only downside to it. I think really, but it's just hard to get out there in a pinch. You really kind of have to plan for it or kind of sacrifice your turn almost just doing that in order to be able to get to play that card. Aunt May is obviously a ton of fun and just really thematic as well. Uh, Backflip is great. Black Castle. I mean, again, he just has so many fun cards to play. But I think I gotta go with Swinging Web Kick. It's my wife's favorite card. It's again just the most economical damage in the game, and it's so much fun to just throw out that 8 damage and just I think the art helps a lot on it. But again, it's easy. It's 3 costs, 8 damage, no caveats. It's just fun to play. The weakest card, I would have to say between Spider Tracer and Enhanced Spider Sense for me, but I think I'm going to say Enhanced Spider Sense. I find myself having to set up Spider Tracer to get it to work, but it's fun to play. Enhanced Spider Sense, I find myself not wanting to have to pay to get rid of a treachery effect unless I really need to, and it just doesn't maybe feel as fun as often. So I think that would be my choice. But really, he doesn't have a bad card in his set. He's just really well built. I mean, he's built in a way that's like, Iron Man kind of starts bad, and then you build him up over time, right, until he's really, really good. And a lot of heroes kind of have this aspect of you're kind of building them up to do big things, or building them up so they're have good defenses or can do higher attacks. And Spider-Man's just the one hero that's just like he's just ready to go right out of the set. He can do pretty much any of his biggest things. He can do them from turn 1, and that's what's cool and fun about him. He's probably the easiest hero to play, but still a ton of fun to play, even if you have played the game, even if you're really experienced in knowing how to play. He's always a lot of fun. So let's take a look at his Obligation and Nemesis set. So we have Eviction Notice, like the theme here. And give to the Peter Parker player. You may flip to Alter Ego form and choose 1. Exhaust Peter Parker. Remove Eviction Notice from the game. It's standard. And then his alternate option is discard 1 card at random from your hand. This card gains Surge. Discard this Obligation. So yeah, if you don't want to flip to Alter Ego form, this one's a bit rough. Having to just do anything at random in a game like this is just taking a chance you don't want to take. Yeah, because if you're lucky and then you've probably still got 1 or 2 cards you don't want to discard in your hand. Even if you're okay with discarding a few of those, you still got a pretty good chance of losing something you really need. And then the Surge is just kind of, a punch on top of that. So you end up losing something you really need, and you have to take another card. In addition to that, obviously that's no fun. So this one, I think a little worse than some of the other Obligations. And then we have his Nemesis is Vulture. 1 scheme, 3 attack, 4 hit points. And his ability is Quick Strike. After this minion engages your hero, it attacks. So Vulture is not hard to get rid of with 4 hit points, but he's always going to leave an impact, and that's what makes him maybe a little tougher. Is a lot of the Nemesis you can get rid of right away and potentially not have any bad effects from them coming out. But Vulture's going to leave his mark because he engages you and you're going to take that 3 damage. You could obviously try to block that with your defense. You have the 3 defense. You could take that and get rid of it, or maybe a backflip, but you do have to deal with that when he comes out. So there's no kind of skirting by before he comes after you. Then we have his side scheme he comes with, highway robbery. And it's 3 threat per player. That might be one of the worst parts about it. And when revealed, each player places a random card from their hand face down here. When defeated, return each face down card here to its owner's hand. And then it has the acceleration ability. So the 3 threat per person. Again, Spider-Man doesn't have a lot to get rid of stuff with. So he does, his Spider Chaser is built with that 3 threat. So if you're able to get that on Vulture, when he comes out, you could use it to get rid of this if you're playing solo. But 3 threat per person, that can really add up if you've got multiple people in the game. And then taking random cards and throwing them down here, that can be a rough ability. Again, just stealing the good cards from your hand that you really need. All right, next we have Sweeping Swoop. It's got 2 copies of this Treachery card. When revealed, stun your hero. If Vulture is in play, this card gains Surge. And then the boost ability of this activation deals damage to a friendly character, stun that character. Stun's always rough, always slows you down. If you're lucky, you're built up enough that you can deal with it quickly. But him stunning your hero, and if you get Surge on top of that, that's going to slow you down for sure. And then lastly, Treachery, the Vulture's plans. When revealed, discard 1 card at random from each player's hand. Place 1 threat on the main scheme for each different resource type discarded this way. So we see the return of the random discard, and then also he's throwing some extra some extra threat out there. So Vulture definitely is an above average nemesis for sure. I would say in the core, he's probably the worst one that we've seen so far for sure. All right, so that's a look at Spider-Man. This is Nemesis, the Vulture. Your trivia answer from last time. The question was which X-Men villain turned hero stole Captain Marvel's powers? That was, of course, Rogue, the awesome Rogue. And then your trivia question for today. What was the civilian name of Peter's clone who became the Scarlet Spider? And this would be the first Scarlet Spider that appeared in the 90s. So it was the civilian name of Peter's clone who became the first Scarlet Spider. All right, I'll have that answer for you next time. And hope you enjoyed this today, guys. Stay safe out there and stay legendary, champions.